Okay, it's Tobias, and I'm the CEO at GiveEasy, and I'd like to welcome you today to our webinar with two amazing fundraising superstars in Natalie Barnett from Art Centre Melbourne, who's the head of fundraising campaigns, and Emily Lewis, direct marketing coordinator at Baker Heart and Diabetes Institute. I'm here with my marketing manager, Elise Shirt, and it's great to have you here for our session this morning where we're going to talk around digital fundraising in the lead up to tax time. Everyone gets back from Easter and it's full on for tax. So I think hopefully we'll leave you with some tangible tips, or Natalie and Emily will leave you with some tangible tips and learnings that you can take back to your organisation. Again, please feel free to ask questions. That's what we're here for. You can type them as we go and we'll come to them at the end of the chat. How we're going to structure this, just so everyone understands. Quick intros from both Natalie and Emily. We're going to run through then one special campaign that really shot the lights out, that really raised them, 10 times more on digital. We're going to have some Q&A between myself and Natalie and Emily, just broadly, some lessons learned, some tips and tricks, some inspiration for your fundraising. And then I'm going to open it up to you to ask questions from both Natalie and Emily. So just let's get started. I might pass it over to Natalie to kick things off. Just a real quick intro on who you are and Art Centre Melbourne. That would be great. Thanks, Natalie.
Thanks, Jeremy. So as I said, I'm Natalie Barnett, and I've been working at Art Centre Melbourne for about 3 years now. Goodness, how time has flown. So, I mean, as an organisation, obviously Art Centre Melbourne itself is quite a large organisation and kind of predominantly focused on ticket sales for the arts. But we, within that we have the philanthropy team, which focuses on, a number of different programs across the business where we can kind of support access to the arts for all of Victoria, which is kind of a kind of fundamental proposition. So, we're a reasonably large philanthropy team, but the campaigns team is small. So there are 2 of us at the moment. And we really started doing campaigns fundraising about 3 years ago. So when I got here, we had a really small donor base of about 500 donors. The majority of our previous fundraising had been in the major donor space, but we really recognised the need to build that pipeline, and so kind of set about setting up a fully fledged campaign programme, which we've been actively growing over the last couple of years.
Great, thanks Natalie. And Emily, quick intro and set the scene.
Thanks, Jeremy. So my name's Emily Lewis and I'm the Direct Marketing Coordinator at the Baker Heart and Diabetes Institute. So the Baker Institute is an independent medical research institute based in Melbourne, and we also have a campus in Alice Springs. So the research that we do focuses on the prediction, prevention and treatment of heart disease, diabetes and other related conditions. But alongside that, we also have clinics where cardiologists and endocrinologists see, as well as diabetes educators. We do clinical trials and we have a lot of public health initiatives as well. So quite a diverse group of things. Similarly to Natalie, our organisation is relatively large, but the fundraising and philanthropy team is quite small. So our direct marketing team is quite small. So it primarily consists of myself and my manager. We also have a data analyst and a supporter care administrator who works with us, and a newly appointed digital marketing coordinator, which is very exciting. But the direct marketing team sits part of a larger fundraising team, which consists of the philanthropy or major gifts team. We have a bequest program, corporate partnerships, but overall there's about 15 of us in that group. So direct marketing specifically, the majority of our fundraising is through direct mail, but we've tried to, out of necessity, especially last year, had to diversify that income. So yeah, digital is relatively new for us, but been quite successful so far.
Yeah, fantastic. And at GiveEasy, we've had the privilege to work with Natalie and Emily over the last 12 months and beyond. And we've specifically curated this webinar to take 2 organisations, as you can hear, relatively small in nature, that have absolutely shot the lights out. And so I hope you enjoy the session today. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go, Natalie, we're going to talk about one campaign. We're going to focus on the summer campaign that you ran. I think, you know, timing is everything in my view on digital. It's first to market wins. We saw it with the bushfires. We saw it with the COVID emergency campaigns at the end of, at the beginning of last year. And you launched this campaign, I remember it clearly, 1 week before Melbourne got out of lockdown. So there was a sense of optimism in the air after such a long time. Arts Centre Melbourne launching a recovery campaign 4 or 5 days away, momentum in the air, excitement in the air. We can actually leave our homes. Talk us through the campaign. Talk us through why this succeeded for your organisation on the back of, after such a strong emergency COVID campaign leading up to June.
Thanks, Jeremy. So yes, okay. So there's a little bit of a history with, I suppose, where we started is that when the Arts Centre shut down in March, so obviously when, you know, everything was happening with COVID, it was at that point when we really kind of changed what we were doing. So just a kind of little bit of context is that, you know, I was sitting at home and, you know, I had all, you know, we'd already redone one appeal because of the bushfires. You know, we were, you know, really short on time. Things were happening. I had content trip plans that were cancelled. We had no way of getting, you know, photographs. We weren't able to deliver the programs that we were delivering. And so that really kind of got us thinking, okay, well, what can we do? And once we refocused, you know, where we were going to be fundraising for, really the way to get content, I ended up just having a bunch of Zoom conversations with lots of different artists who'd been impacted by the, you know, by the shutdowns, which provided a kind of amazing kind of set of stories that we could use for digital communication. So that kind of started the kind of inception of what we were thinking. But really kind of taking you into the summer appeal. So, you know, we've had this incredible turnaround and real kind of redirection in terms of the way that we were working and how our campaigns were structured. And so we headed into summer, which probably started in September, October-ish. And the way that we've chosen to structure our campaigns is that, you know, we start with a little bit of impact storytelling through a newsletter, which sets the scene for the next appeal. And I think that, you know, that's probably important to note because we had such a, you know, huge response to the previous appeal. We wanted to really kind of give some updates really to our supporters, and then really took a digital approach from that sense forward. So over the period of the campaign through from October to December, we did take a multi-channel approach. We're obviously going to be talking a lot about digital, but I also wanted to say that you know, we don't want to throw direct mail out with the bathwater, so to speak. It's still delivering, you know, significant income for us from, you know, wedded-on supporters. But as Jeremy said, we hit the market with a recovery message, which was all about kind of optimism, but it really strongly followed on from the previous campaign narrative, which was, you know, all about supporting the sector through that initial shutdown. And the, you know, recovery proposition really kind of took the approach where we wanted to give artists the opportunity to get shows that had been cancelled back up on their stages and kind of renew their purpose. But also we had this sort of added benefit of, you know, Arts Centre Melbourne audience members, you know, they're desperate to get back to the theatre. So that kind of provided a really amazing kind of narrative for us. So as I said, so we've been showing the direct mail in terms of the slides, and I think that gives us a really good picture of the messaging throughout the campaign. But really what we did and how we managed to gain amazing traction was through taking a digital first approach and using digital content to drive that approach throughout the duration of the campaign. So on the screen at the moment is some of our emails. So every week throughout, I think, the 10 to 13 weeks of the campaign period, we sent out a new email, which had digital content included in it, so a new video each time, with different voices from the campaign. And I'd like to sort of say that, you know, I mean, obviously, we do have some good resources within Arts Centre Melbourne, but Jeremy, if you hold on the donation page, I'll talk about that in a second. But you know, we were able to produce content really cheaply. I basically filmed it, got people to film me asking them questions on their iPhone, and then we edited it with some, you know, very skillful editors. But it was a pretty cheap way of producing content to pull off, and had some amazing results. But in terms of what we did differently in the digital space and how GiveEasy were supporting us. So you can see this this email ahead of you. We started off with, you know, lots of donate buttons, but as we moved through the campaign, we were testing much more personalized asks. So we were able to take people's previous giving behavior and incorporate uplift asks within the email. And if you click through to the next slide, Jeremy, on the donation page, we were then able to pre-fill what we chose to be the kind of ask amount that we wanted people to donate, but also pre-populate names. So we were able to make the process really simple and easy for donors using the GiveEasy technology, so that, you know, it was very much like a one-click. You know, you make a decision, an emotional decision in the moment, go through to the donation page, and it's one click to donate. So I think that changed things significantly for us. And what you can see is that we hosted all of the videos within the GiveEasy page, so that people were clicking through to watch the video, but right next to that emotional content was the ask and the ease of giving. So that was...
So just, Natalie, if I can stop you there. I mean, I think one thing that you did really well, that's in my view a no-brainer, but where charities potentially fall down, is that they've got amazing videos, but they actually link that video to a YouTube link. So there's a really nice video trick that can be done in emails, which is stock standard, I know, Natalie, for you guys, where you make it look like a video that leads to a actual video, and as you said, keeps people actually in that page. That to you is obvious, but I get email after email that actually leads people to a YouTube video, and they've made their click. They've actually made their click, and they surf the net instead of actually watching the video, or probably not watching the video but donating, because the process is so simple. We hosted
some of the we hosted the videos on YouTube, but had them linked through to here. But no one. We have a really active YouTube channel, but no one donated through YouTube specifically. They only donated through the GiveEasy page. So that's 100% of a learning there. The other thing we utilised in terms of GiveEasy functionality is we use this the ability to put comments. So many of you who do direct mail will often include something called like a bounce back, or a way for supporters to send in their comments about something to deepen engagement. And so we were able to implement this in the digital space as well. And actually this was really, really amazing for us, because I mean we used it in so many different ways. For an organisation which is trying to get philanthropy on the map and compete with marketing and ticketing priorities, and given the fact that everyone was closed down and kind of feeling the pain of that, we were able to use a lot of this supportive commentary to really kind of push our philanthropic agenda, and kind of cheer people up within the organisation, but kind of demonstrate how well we were doing. So that was great. But also we've been able to use a lot of these comments and things, and we've created some beautiful impact videos post the campaign. So one of the things that I was really mindful of in these last two campaigns, because we had recruited so many new donors and in quite an emergency space, I really didn't want to see us put all that effort in and gain that much traction and then lose supporters. And so we took a lot of care with you know, our impact journeys and our thank yous, and we did a lot of thank you calling, you know, value-based. But we were able to, we're just sending out this week an impact video, which has one of the shows that we got back up on our stages with donor funds, and we have our artists reading these beautiful comments, and they're practically in tears, and it's just so moving. And you know, I think it will, sending that out as well before our next campaign, I think will sort of create that kind of good feeling about how we're using donors' money, and kind of create a bit of a good segue into the next campaign. A lot of things that charities also become nervous about is sending out so many emails. We took an approach where we were sort of, not everything was a hard fundraising ask, everything had an opportunity to donate, but we really tried to create opportunity to engage in different ways, whether, you know, some we might have had a survey, some we might have had, you know, a Q&A event session, that kind of thing. This is interesting because we launched a match giving campaign, and we chose to specifically launch it 1 month into the campaign because of we had a match giving for a certain amount of money. And I know that, you know, that would be a peak of giving in terms of an incentive to give. I can honestly say that using a matched gift, if you have the opportunity, is probably the biggest game changer for any small charity. And we've really changed the way that we work with our major donor team, and really kind of come up with a collaborative approach to identifying donors who will really respond to, you know, wanting to be the match giver. So we're now on our 3rd shot at that. And, you know, twice, the 2 times that we did the Double Your Impact part of the campaign, you know, this one we raised $70,000 from one email, which is, I mean, I think when we first started doing this, we might have got like $9,000 from digital communications for the whole campaign. So, and we found out that with those match giving campaigns, most of the donations will come in within the first 24 to 48 hours. So that's going to change our strategy a little bit over the next campaign.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think it.
I mean, I loved what you did with this email, because you not only did a match giving campaign, but you actually personalized the donation asks, but then you actually showed the impact that it does. So you took the time in your email program, not just to do personalized asks, but to actually show that my $25 versus Emily's $50 actually equals a 50 or 100. And so, it, you know, match giving is hot in the charity sector. Everyone understands what match giving is, but you took the time to explain the impact to your donors, taking that, and it's not difficult. You just need to have one more column in your Excel spreadsheet that gets you the results. And then what I also loved was that on the landing page, you had I think you had a match giving target originally of 150,000. So as you said, $75,000 from the public, and you actually showed in real time. You gave them an impact of whether you were there yet or not, which was awesome.
Yeah, I actually think because we implemented this on this campaign, not previously, and I think that we got more donations, and the donations came in faster using this target approach. So I think people, it's that gamification thing. People see how close you are, and they want to, you know, they want to do something. You know, we're thinking this time that, you know, if we send out an email in the morning, we might be able to follow up with an SMS or something, or an email when we get towards the end of the day, saying, actually, we're at this point of our target, you can help us hit it. You know, so you're just giving them that extra push within the day. The other thing, when we talked about doing a multi-channel campaign, we did 3 SMSs through this campaign. We debated the first one a lot because I think it's, you know, normally for a tax campaign, if charities do an SMS, it'll be right on the 29th of, you know, and everybody is doing that. And that's fine, it still gets great results because it's a good reminder. We had to fight to get SMS across the board in the first place, so we've never done one with the organisation again. People were really concerned about opt-out rates. The opt-out rates were fine, like they were really low actually at all of the time. So, you know, I wouldn't be worried about that, but we used them at specific points in the campaign. So when we were talking about the timing, we decided to send one out at the launch, for the launch purely because of that. We were just getting outside of lockdown. There was a lot of media around it. People were sort of chomping at the bit to get, you know, get back into the theatre. So I think it just, that first message was really kind of timing and context dependent. The match giving was fantastic in terms of the way that it performed, and it really, you know, we could include that personalisation in there. And then obviously we kind of used a kind of last chance to donate. So I would say that got the lowest response, but by that point we'd already got a heck of a lot of donations from our existing donors.
I think your ROI for the first one was 16 times, second one was 14 times, and then the last one was 6.5 times ROI. Yeah. I mean, I think you were in a unique spot with the first one. To me, it was an absolute no-brainer. You have to send it. There was just that excitement in the air. But the match giving isn't. You have to send an SMS for match giving, and you have to send an SMS with last chance to donate, whether it's Christmas or whether it's tax.
We raised $35,000, which is, you know, may seem like a drop in the ocean for many charities, but for us that was a heck of a lot from an SMS. We've talked a little bit about impact. So I've sent, since we finished the campaign, so we had some initial, the one thing that Give It Easy does great is helping us to automate that thanking and receipt kind of fulfillment process. So as we push more people online, that actually takes a lot of pressure off our internal team, and we were able to embed some videos and things in that, so we could create a really nice kind of instant experience. And then since that, we've sent out a number of different communications. So one immediately following the campaign, what did we achieve? Then we sent, you know, the second one a month later, which had lots of different characters from the appeal saying thank you. And then now we're at, this is actually what's happening. This is what we're getting back up on stage. And we're still also reporting back on what we did in the first campaign, you know, within reason. And then as we move into the next campaign period, we'll kind of hold that. So, I mean, it seems like a lot of work, but actually we created a lot of the content at the time of the campaign. It kind of got pulled into the costs. Sending something out digitally is, you know, it's low cost, it's easy to do, it's instantaneous. You know, there's lots of different things you can do in that space to show impact. And I think, you know, we still get donations in from all the thank yous, which is just amazing. So always include a bit of a, and if you'd like to still give, you know, we still get some donations in, why not?
Fantastic. You know, in 15 minutes, you've taken everyone through an outstanding campaign, a multi-channel digital campaign, launched at the right time, ease of donation, right messaging, time and effort spent on all of the comms that you've sent out. And I love that you've spent the time and effort thanking donors. I just think that's such a real key element that makes a lasting impression for their donors. We will have a little bit more time, hopefully at the end, to just delve a little bit deeper into some lessons and some learnings for tax time and beyond. But so thank you, Natalie, for sharing that with us today. I want to, again, get Emily back to talk about your last campaign that you ran in autumn, I remember very clearly sitting in the office at my desk when you sent out that email. I think we exchanged a few SMSs, probably in shock, sorry to say, but you know, about the results that you were able to get. I think it raised, one of those emails raised more than nearly a couple of your Christmas emails. So I'd love you to share with us again the channels, a little bit about the autumn campaign that you ran, and why you think on digital it was so successful. Just the journey, you know, different organisation to Arts Centre, but please take it away.
Thanks, Jeremy, and thanks, Natalie. Some really, really interesting insights there. I'm going to have to rewatch this and take a few notes. But yeah, so at the Baker Institute, we've historically been very direct mail focused, and we still are to this day. It's still the primary source of the income in our direct marketing team. So like Natalie said, don't throw it out the window, but there is definitely so much room for growth in the digital space. So, you know, especially when COVID times hit, we realised that we were very reliant on those sort of traditional routes of fundraising, and that we really had no choice but to sort of diversify what we were doing. So previous to that, basically this time last year, we really didn't have a clear digital fundraising strategy, and we were sending ad hoc emails. We weren't really tracking the conversion. It was really unclear if we were getting any actual donations from the emails that we were sending, because we were just sending them to the website. And so, you know, we had okay click-through, you know, okay open rates, very poor click-through, and then I don't know what happened after that. So we're not in that situation anymore, thank God. But yeah, it sort of gave us the realization that we need to sort of put a digital first approach. So one thing that we did was really think about, you know, change the way we're thinking about the appeals and make them as, you know, integrated and diverse and as easy as possible. So the slides that are clicking through now is just some examples of our of the direct mail pack from our autumn appeal, which is actually still going. It launched at the start of February. So we've been using Give Easy since tax time last year, and I think in 2020, I'm just going to have a quick look at my notes. In 2020, we raised over $43,000 just on the platform itself, and that's coming from raising $0 from emails. So that's an incredible result. So when we think about the autumn appeal itself, it's a shoulder appeal. It's not a big appeal. It's not tax. It's not Christmas. So we did want to make it a little bit special, and there are a few key things that stood out. So essentially, yeah, we sent 2 emails really. I'm thinking of sending a third one soon. But the key to it, and the key to the success in all of our digital communications in the last year, has been the personalization. So I actually, you know, this time last year, as we all do, you know, you tune into a million different webinars for a million different things, and you know, after you've seen 5 of them, they're all the same. All the programs are the same. It's really hard to sort of pick which one you want to use. But what stood out to me in this was, you know, the personalization that you could have, especially with the custom links and the pre-filled donation forms. And I thought this time last year, when we were in sort of that crisis point, that's what's going to make a difference. It's going to make it stand out. If we can have that consistency through, that's going to be the key. So in our tax appeal, we saw great success with that, and it's just continued on up until currently. So if you want to flick to the next slide, I'm not sure what the next one is. Yeah, so a key thing for me is that, you know, it doesn't need to be that difficult. What we did, because we are a very small team and have very, you know, decent expectations in the DM area, I just kept thinking, like, what can we do to utilize the resources that we've already got? So, and, you know, you look at your DM pack and you go, okay, we've got the images, we've written the copy, we've done all of that. You post it off and then you forget about it. That's what we were doing for so many years. But you can just, if you can use the resources that you've already got, if you've taken photos and you've written copy, even if it's just for your website, if you're not doing DM or you're writing stuff for socials, and just tweak it for emails, it's going to make such a big difference. With our ask values, they're the same ask values that we put in the direct mail. So the data's already there. If you're not doing direct mail, you can calculate that on, you know, previous giving history and a number of things. But really, that was one key takeaway, is, you know, utilizing the resources that you've already got. So for us sending the emails for the autumn appeal, we only sent 2 emails and we raised $16,000. That's the most like successful like emails that we've ever had, you know, alongside the tax and summer ones. But for a shoulder appeal, that's almost unheard of for us, and it came in very, very quickly. A really good example that I thought would be good to share is that one of our donors gave $1,800 to the spring appeal last year via Give Easy. We sent him an email saying, Bill, will you give $1,800? Or I'm not sure if it was actually that ask amount. And he, you know, clicked through and made the donation for spring, all good. Then we sent him another email in autumn, and with the whole same process, in the time it took for him to open the email, click on the email and donate and get his donation receipt was under 3 minutes. So, you know, we could see the time on our like email marketing software, the time he clicked on the email, the time he, you know, opened the email, clicked the email, and then the time the transaction went through in Give Easy and he got his receipt, and it was under 3 minutes. And that was because it was his second gift on the Give Easy platform. So everything was there. It was all pre-filled. It was all consistent. So I think if that's, you know, that's just a real key thing for me, is that it really is easy. And yeah, that was a big thing. So we've seen incredible uptake in our digital area, and, you know, throw your assumptions out the window of what you think your donors are like. But yeah, it's been really, really good, really successful so far. We had a gift match for tax and for summer, and used very similar sort of things to Natalie. But yeah, so far so good, and I can't see us going back any other way. I really think we could have, we should have gotten on it sooner, but we just had to in the situation we were in. And I actually don't know, if COVID times didn't happen, I don't think we would have got to this position that we're in now so quickly. So I'm glad we did. So.
Thank you. I mean, can you talk a little bit more about, you know, this simple blood test equal hope? I mean,
yes.
Hope to me is, you know, an amazing word in fundraising. Some organizations can use it, some of them just can't. I mean, to me, the messaging stood out. Talk us through a little bit about.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so this appeal itself was looking at the research of Professor Peter Meikle, and essentially his lab have developed this this blood test, which is doing like a lipid profile, which can then determine essentially your risk factors of developing heart disease, diabetes, other chronic conditions, including Alzheimer's. So using simple messaging like this simple blood test equals hope, and using that consistently through the direct mail, our social media, and through the emails was incredible. I think it really did have that sort of personal warmth that I think is very hard to get, especially when you do have such a cold topic sometimes as research, and breaking through that and making it, you know, warm was quite difficult to do, but I think we got there in the end. So the appeal itself so far is still running. We're still receiving donations for it. It's been quite successful. But a big thing was also the tangibility of it. One of the blood tests cost $40. So reiterating that through the communications was really, really important. So for this one, the channels that we used were simply mail and digital and email and a few social media posts, but that's still something that we're testing and how we can utilize that better. But this appeal, the key of it was personalization for all of our appeals, but specifically this one is really getting that same dollar value through really, you know, you've spent all this time writing the email, writing the letter, convincing them that, you know, Sam, we need $100. If they click through and it's consistent, it really just shows that, you know, it gives a bit more proof to what you're trying to say. So yeah, this appeal so far has been really, really good, really interesting. Great uptake, amazing media has come out of it too. So yeah, very exciting so far. Still results rolling in. So
fantastic. And I remember we were planning to do a webinar at the beginning of April, and I remember sitting at my desk watching the donations, and I went, we have to tell this story. You know, yeah. It's you know, you're still at the beginning of the digital curve. You know, as you said, you know, raising $8,000-9,000 for some charities, that's sort of a drop in the ocean. But the uplift that you've received, and the propensity now to take that to the next level is really exciting. So thank you both for sharing, you know, a real small snapshot of months and months of work, but with really small teams, you were able to pull off 2 exceptional campaigns. And really, it's more than 2 exceptional campaigns. It's this last 12 months plus work. What we might do is I might just stop sharing this and just delve into some Q&A myself, just for a few minutes. And I would also welcome, now's a really good time to ask some other questions from the audience. Please put them in there and we'll come to them after my 5 or so minutes. So really what probably might start with Natalie here. I don't demographics shift. You know, we've heard a lot, COVID, digital payments outside of the not-for-profit sector. Digital is here to stay. There's definitely a propensity for charities to move to digital. Can you both share what you've seen probably in June and in Christmas in terms of the makeup of digital versus direct mail, and maybe even the shift that you've seen? Natalie, you shared with me some really interesting statistics that I think
yeah, me too. Got to mention. I'm so excited about the journey. So just quickly, so I think we started off on our whole campaigns. We were probably raising 100,000 from each campaign. These last 2 campaigns raised in excess of 550,000. 70% of the donations from in both campaigns separately came from digital channels. So we're still seeing the people who, probably because we're slightly in acquisition mode as well, and we've acquired a lot of donors through the digital channels. You know, we're still seeing probably some of our older, more wedded on donors who've been giving through direct mail still giving through those channels, which is why I'm very keen not to lose it. But a significant proportion of people are giving now through digital channels. And when we looked at the, you know, the demographics that we've got through analytics, really, you're still seeing the same patterns. People are over 55. You know, it's very much a typical charity profile. We're not necessarily recruiting a younger audience within that. Yeah, it's just that I mean, I think, you know, everyone's grandma learned how to use Zoom, you know, over the last 12 months. So people are just more comfortable, and it was, you know, it's safer than having to, you know, pick up paper.
And I think that's flipped, right? So the previous year, I think it was the other way around.
Yeah, definitely. So I think we'd really started our journey with Give Easy, and we hadn't really had much in the digital space at all. We had quite a lot of barriers through asking for digital donations, because people had to type a password in and then move to Give Easy. And so we already saw an uplift, but we were still only getting like $10,000 through digital channels, and we were probably sending 3 emails out during a campaign. But if you think about, you know, we've now significantly increased the opportunities to give. And also because we're hitting people with sort of slightly different angles, there are lots of different motivations that people can latch onto. And I think digital enables you to, you know, look around the kind of, you know, the proposition that you've got and kind of explore slightly different angles in a sense.
Yeah. And Emily, I mean, the good news is you can now track. So you can actually work out which donations are coming from emails and SMSs. And I mean, and I know that you're at the start of the journey, but just I mean, still direct mail heavy organisation, I take it, but
very much so.
Yeah.
So you know, like a lot of charities are very similar to us, are very, very direct mail focused. It's their bread and butter, and you know, it still brings in about 80% of the income in our DM group. But you know, in 2018, 2019, we're sitting around 90% was just from DM, and it's successful. Our donor demographics are perfect for DM, but I think we just assumed that that's just the only way they wanted to give. Like, you send them an appeal, they'll give via the appeal in the post. They'll send it back with their check or money order or whatever. But we never gave them the option to donate digitally. We never really, and I think like you know, pointed out, Natalie, is that everyone's grandma has gotten used to going on Zoom or gotten used to being able to do everything online, that it's actually more convenient. And I came to sort of a realization that, you know, people are probably, especially in Melbourne, not going to want to leave their house to drop the letter in the post box or to go to the bank to get their money order, or all of that. So just making every part of it as simple as possible. And that went from DM all the way to the emails. So you go, sorry.
I was just going to say something that, you know, maybe people could consider as well, as if you're doing direct mail, really kind of bring up the prominence of trying to get people to donate online, but using the direct mail to do that. So, you know, we have quite a standard donation form, and in the past it's always been kind of, you know, and if you want to donate online at the bottom, we're actually kind of moved it up in terms of, you know, options to donate, and said to people, you know, like a specific message about actually we prefer you to donate online.
Yeah, interesting.
So,
really interesting. I mean, I'm a big advocate of that. One thing just that you guys don't even know, that what we're trialing with a couple of charities this tax time is personalized URLs for QR codes. It'll be interesting. So there'll be a QR code on the direct mail that will actually lead donors to a personalized pre-filled link. So yeah, big advocate. I mean, again, the person that opened direct mail is probably going to fill out the check, but give them an opportunity.
Yeah, I'm totally up for trialing that.
Sorry.
I said I'm totally up for trialing that.
Yeah, me too. It's a guinea pigs in here.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I've just got 2 more questions, and then we'll get to the number of questions from the audience, which is great. So my 2 questions, Emily, you alluded to it. So you were sitting back last year, I think you mentioned, I can't remember the time, and you went, let's do it. Let's go for it. I'm sure there's a few charities on this webinar that are thinking, if only I could do that. So how did you change the game, or how did you start to change the game within the organization to get acceptance for an organization that's so direct mail heavy to take that leap?
I think it was kind of a bit of a no-brainer, and it came out of necessity. It's because we are so direct mail focused. I remember speaking to a friend of mine who was in New Zealand, and their mail houses and post closed when ours was still going. And I thought, if we can't print and we can't mail, we can't bring in any income. So we need to do something now, and it needs to be effective. So that's how we came across Give Easy, and we thought that, you know, having that personalization is going to make the difference. So, you know, putting it forward as like we need to do this just came out of necessity. And I think it really, you know, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I know historically it's sort of been, we've had these assumptions about our donors don't give digitally, you know, they're not those kind of people, and we've proven it wrong, you know. So it just had to happen. And I think if I hadn't have done it, I don't know where we would be. We wouldn't have, you know, diversified the way that we have, and it's just so simple to do. So we just had to do it. If you haven't done it, just do it.
And probably thank you. And my last question before please type your questions in. We will get to them after. My last question is, so tax, beginning of April, it's game on. As far as I'm concerned, with charities already sort of whispering that they're starting to set up. We know that once May hits, there's no looking back. We've come off a ridiculously crazy year, understatement ever, bushfires, emergency COVID, Christmas, where you could still sort of talk about COVID and shortfalls of funds. 2021's a different ballgame, in my view. New beginning, new innovations, new tactics to do things to invigorate, motivate a digitally savvy audience that we've heard has shifted or is shifting, or some of the shifting. What does tax look like, Natalie, or what do you hope, let me rephrase it, what do you hope that tax looks like when we launch in a few weeks' time?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting because, you know, I feel like the pressure's on now. We're following that, you know, emergency recovery, you know, twice successful. So, I mean, essentially, if it's not broken, we're essentially taking the same approach. We're going to continue to develop content for the 12 weeks of the campaign. I would generally say, you know, first to market is best, because there's just so much competition out there, you know, for share of donors' wallets. You can use digital to get to market quicker. We're going to keep on the journey, you know, accessing our kind of wider database. I would actually say if you're an organisation where, you know, there is access to other data, you know, keep working on that, fight that battle, because it hasn't had a negative impact on an audience database. It's just created more engagement. And there's, there'll be heaps of case studies out there that you can use to try and get access to more internal data. But yeah, we'll be doing a match giving campaign. We'll be, taking the same multi-channel approach, but we have a slightly different proposition because we're moving back into more of our business as usual. But we're definitely kind of continuing a little bit of the COVID narrative. It's, we've taken people on a journey. We're making sure that everything remains interconnected in that sense.
Emily, a quick comment.
Yeah, very similar, if it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of thing. So we're using the same kind of structure, 4 or 5 emails and SMS as well. We also have a gift match. It's actually the same gift matcher who was our tax appeal last year. So in our mid-value program, we might be using that as a bit of social proof of, this person does it, you could too, sort of thing. But very similar, keeping it same first to market. As soon as we can get it out there, we will. But, testing as much as we can, especially when it comes to SMS. We did some great tests last year with SMS, which had some quite interesting results, but all pretty good. Our assumptions proved true. The more personalisation, the better. The more you can sort of give them more context, the better. We did a test at tax time last year, and the personalised SMS with their name and dollar value compared to one with just the dollar value in it performed 16-1 better. Incredible result. And also at Christmas time, we thought we'd test an SMS and we'll do one there. And the long form copy with, Dear Emily, enough time to justify what you're trying to ask for, performed, incredibly compared to one that was a bit shorter. But for tax time this year, just trying to keep it consistent as well. And we're still sort of in that COVID, but it's a bit tricky because we've sort of gone at it for so long, and but we're trying to be consistent and reflect back on, how their support in the last year has been, get us to this point, because, we were at Straits. I think we all were, but tax time is very exciting and it is very fast approaching. So
yeah, great.
So
thank you. So thanks for the chat. Fantastic to work with you both, and thank you for sharing your insights. There are some questions. I might just throw them at you and see where we get to. So Margaret Simpson asks, Emily, how small is your team in terms of staff members? That's her first question. So let's get to that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So our team is quite small. So within the greater team, with including all of our philanthropy, bequests, corporate partnerships, there's about 15 of us. But directly working on the appeals is myself. And my manager, but really it all comes from me and a couple other people who collaborate, but very small. So I think it's sometimes good to hear from, smaller charities or smaller teams, because it makes it a bit more, reasonable to think that you can actually do it too. So yeah, quite small.
I think this one's actually for me, but feel free to add, guys. What particular role does GiveEasy play in getting these campaigns together? So, our core functionality is tech platform. So you go in, you set up multiple donation pages with all the functionality plus more that you saw today. We help generate the pre-filled links that you put in your emails. We help send the SMSs out for your organization. And it's a seamless, easy way to set up your appeals, track your results, and get donations on desktop and digital. That's core. I'd say the value add that we offer is a sense check of things, right? So does your SMS fit the number of characters? Should there be another donation button in the email? Is this best practice with your video in your email? We see so many campaigns that are successful, and we also unfortunately see some that may not be as successful. So we're there as a sense check to make sure that your read more functionality works well, or that you've utilized as much personalization as you possibly can.
Jeff,
Yeah.
Can I just say, because I think, actually, Jeremy was amazing over this last year for us. I've never had such personalized service. Like it really feels like you're a part of our team, Jeremy. And, every time I get, we got a $20,000 donation through GiveEasy the other day, which we were a bit shocked about. and I get a text message from Jeremy immediately going, have you seen that donation?
You see it before we do, yeah.
Yeah, and every time we wanted to try something new and we didn't always get it right, we were sort of doing this iterative learning on kind of putting all the tracking and stuff in place. And I really felt like we had a very personalized service from you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's been really great to have that sort of guidance there, especially going into it a bit blind of what can we do, how do we do this, and being able to have somebody there to show us like, oh, this is probably the better way to write the SMS. It's probably better you put the name at the start, sort of thing. You're like, oh, I would never have thought of that. So it's really good. It's been really helpful.
If we were next to each other, I'd give you both a. No, so just a couple more questions. Just from an anonymous, what's the size of your contactable database, direct mail versus digital? And maybe also we'll answer this at the same time, how was social media integrated into the campaign?
So for us at Art Centre, actually, I mean, we're reasonably lucky. So we have access to quite a large database in terms of, opt-in digital. I think we managed to get to about 360,000 names. But that was a massive game change from pre-COVID, when we were actually only really able to access 20,000 in digital and our existing donors. And for direct mail, we pretty much keep it focused on people who've been giving or have given through a gift with ticket purchase. So we kind of keep our costs quite focused at the moment, and then have used digital to reach much wider.
Yeah, so it's a different ballpark for us. So we've got a database of about 55,000 donors, and about 30,000 of those we mail in our main appeals, lower numbers in the shoulder appeals. But for our digital, from looking at communication preferences and that, we can only really email about 20,000 people. In saying that, over the last year, we've really had to look at the data that we've got and realize that, the communication preferences weren't necessarily that clear. And the first emails we sent, we're only sending to, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people. And then we were able to actually really figure out, oh, no, that's okay. We can send them this. And the more people we've been able to send, the better the results have been. So again, it is a longer process. You're never going to get it right. And I sometimes look at the first emails that we sent and I'm like, why did I do that? Or like you definitely do learn and you change the way you do things. And especially last year, we've just completely changed the way we did our emails. So, and where social media comes into that is another tricky thing, is something that we're building on, but it's not anything we've got perfect as of yet. So, it's a big learning experience.
I would say on the social media side as well, that's something that we are, we're trialing a number of things, but actually kind of quite hard to get some real kind of solid results. But I think that we've now kind of got a kind of way forward and a plan for tax, which will hopefully give us a stronger results.
Yeah.
So we've got 5 minutes. I'm just going to race through a few more questions. How does the Give Easy data come back? Can it be put in or flow into CRMs? Yes. You can monitor your donations in real time. Download that data. We can also integrate with a bit of work back into your CRMs. Data tracking. Yeah. So lots of small charities love answering these short, love our tracking. You can track your email 1, email 2, email 3. All of your Google Analytics can also be embedded on the page. I'd say for real small organizations that don't just send all their donors to the main donation page, which to be honest is 100% dead wrong and will get you not great results because you're sending your SMS and you're asking for a mobile number on the SMS page. Don't laugh. 50% of organizations do it. But yeah, tracking is part of the Give Easy platform. We might just go to a few more questions that were answered, but I think that they're interesting. Yeah, so one question from Nola around, could you explain the impact of linking a video to YouTube? Was this negative? Yeah, so I bang on about this every single tax Christmas appeal period. What you don't want to do in your email is put link to a YouTube video. So they're clicking through to the YouTube link and there's no donation button or ask on that page because they're taken to YouTube and they watch the video and then they move on. What you want to do, and I'm happy to help, is make a lookalike video with an image with a play button that takes them to a pre-filled Give Easy page where the video is there embedded on the page. They'll stay on the donation page, they won't jump out. But you actually have it side by side with the donation form. So they either don't watch the video but donate, or they watch 15 seconds of the video and it's so simple and it's so captivating that they click on the form to donate. One other question, with pre-filled amounts, can donors change the amount? Yes. It's based, as Emily said, I think, normally off direct mail asks. If you're not there yet, last gift. If you're not there with that, tangible dollar handles, they work better than no ask amounts, or sending everyone to the same page with dollar handles that just don't make sense for that donor.
Also put out uplift gifting for tax. It's a great opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Catherine is asking, and we might just leave it here with this question, rematch giving, how does the Give Easy platform accommodate? Do I see a field and art centre landing page that articulate the match gift total? I might answer this and then hand it over to you guys. Yes. So we're just going to take a risk here because why not?
What was the question, Jeremy?
Just match gift. So match gift is awesome with pre-filled forms, both on SMS and not. So Art Centre is blueprint gold standard. This, I haven't seen anything better than this. You put unique ask amounts. So my ask amounts are 25, 75, 250. Natalie's are 50, 100, 500. Emily's are 100, 125, 150. And it shows you what your ask will become. Really simple to do, 15 minutes extra work. Uplift, as Natalie said, how much did this email raise? 75K. Leading to a pre-filled form that actually has a matched multiplier with the matched amount that they're going to give. In my view, show me something better. Love to see it, but this on both email and SMS with a target, if you're game, don't have to have a target. You know, some charities are a bit concerned that they'll reach $5,000. You won't with match gifts, but some charities, I know, Emily, you didn't do it because you're just direct mail heavy, and that's fine as well. But this setup with pre-filled links leading to a form which shows the impact, I think about it at night in my sleep. I don't know, Natalie and Emily, if you want to close off anything.
Just one thing that I think we'll maybe look at trialing for, because I think that the majority of the donations came in within that 24-48 period. I'm thinking about looking at the functionality, Jeremy, that you have around sort of a countdown timer and things like that, which I think could be quite exciting. But yeah, I think once you've run a match giving campaign for the first time, you'll kind of get a sense of what you can raise, and then you'll feel more confident about whether or not you want to use the thermometer, because we didn't use it in the first campaign and then chose to in the second campaign.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, guys, before we sign off?
Just if anyone has any other questions and wants to get in contact, I'm totally happy to chat.
Me as well. Yeah, feel free to shoot us an email. I think the big thing for me is that, like, it doesn't need to be that complex. Like, in the end, you can really, really simplify it and still get really good results. I think if anybody's wanting to try it, just do it. Do it simple, see how you go, but personalize it. That makes the big difference.
Yeah. And I think the other thing for us was around, because we grew so quickly, actually all the sort of back end efficiencies that we had with Give Easy, actually that was almost as important as anything to do with the campaign. All of the, donation, the automated thanking and banking. So we were pretty clunky before that. We've moved even kind of thanking from our direct mail to digital thank yous. So yeah, I mean, anything you can do to automate and work with Jeremy to kind of look at what he can help you to streamline, that made a big difference, because it's basically me and an administrator in my team to process the donations. So you know, without that, we'd break poor Jake.
Thank you so much to you both. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Emily. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Here to help. Good luck in the coming weeks as planning, get these finalized, I hope, for tax time. And again, thanks for tuning in and have a great day, everyone. Thanks again.
Great, thanks. Bye.
Thanks, see ya.